There's a moment that almost nobody notices, not because it's invisible, but because it's quiet. It doesn't come with shouting, no long messages, no dramatic exit, just silence. Someone who used to explain everything suddenly stops explaining. Someone who used to react stops reacting. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it completely. Because on the surface, nothing looks wrong. They still reply, just shorter. They still show up, just less. They still smile, just not the same way. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Because when people get loud, you know something is wrong. But when they go quiet, most people assume everything is fine. It's not. In psychology, this behavior is often misunderstood. People label it as cold, distant, or even attitude. But the truth is, it's usually the opposite. Silence is not the absence of emotion. It's what happens when emotion becomes too heavy to express. There's something called emotional withdrawal, a natural response when someone feels overwhelmed, misunderstood, or repeatedly unheard. Instead of fighting, instead of explaining again and again, the mind chooses a different strategy. It conserves energy, because at some point, explaining how you feel starts to feel pointless when nothing changes. And this is where something deeper begins. Most people think pain makes you react, but sometimes pain makes you pause. It makes you observe. It makes you rethink every interaction, every word, every silence. And slowly, something shifts. Not all at once, but gradually. They stop expecting. They stop reaching out first. They stop sharing the parts of themselves that once came naturally. Not because they don't feel anymore, but because they feel too much. And here's the part most people don't realize. This silence is not meant to hurt anyone. It's meant to protect something fragile inside them. But what exactly are they protecting? And why does silence feel safer than speaking up? Because the answer to that changes how you see quiet people forever. What they're protecting is not their ego. It's their last piece of emotional safety. Because when someone has tried to express themselves and felt ignored, dismissed, or misunderstood, something inside them learns a quiet lesson. Not everything needs to be said, not everyone will understand, and not every feeling is safe in the wrong space. So instead of repeating the same cycle, they adapt. Psychologically, this connects to something known as learned emotional restraint. It's when the brain starts associating expression with discomfort and silence with peace, not because silence feels good, but because it feels safer. And over time, this becomes automatic. They don't even realize they're doing it. They just stop. Stop opening up. Stop reacting the same way. Stop giving access to parts of themselves that once were easy to reach. And here's where it gets even more complex. Because on the outside, it can look like they've moved on, like they don't care anymore. But internally, it's very different. They remember everything, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, detailed way. The tone of your voice, the timing of your silence, the moments they felt something shift, and instead of confronting it, they process it alone. Because somewhere along the way, they learned that being alone with their thoughts feels more reliable than being vulnerable with the wrong person. But this doesn't mean they don't want connection. It just means they've become careful with it, careful with their words, careful with their energy, careful with who gets to see them fully. And this is the part most people misunderstand. Silence is not always distance. Sometimes it's a boundary. A boundary that says, I would rather be quiet than feel misunderstood again. I would rather step back than explain what should have been felt. And maybe the most important thing to understand is this. When someone goes quiet after being hurt, it's not the moment they stopped caring. It's the moment they started caring about themselves just a little more. So the next time someone becomes quiet, don't rush to label them. Look closer, because behind that silence is a story they chose not to tell again. And sometimes, what people don't say is the loudest thing they feel.